Both nations of the East and peoples of the West, who lived several millennia ago, still maintain these legends. Each nation called this highland state in their own way. For example, in the oldest Sumerian legends, it is the blessed highland of the moon, the land of the living, where there was no disease and death, the god's place of dwelling. Yeah. The scene of the oldest Sumerian myths about the gods in Lil, Enki, Ninhursag, about the human Utnapishti who survived the Great Flood. These legends are embodied in the Sumerian epic about the hero Gilgamesh, as well as in the Babylonian poem Enuma Elish. It is precisely from these legends that much later, after many centuries, Hebrew priests borrowed stories about the heavenly Eden, the forbidden fruit, the expulsion from paradise, the great flood, and much more. In Celtic mythology, it is the Isle of the Blessed, Avalon, located on distant western islands. Its symbols are a glass tower, or palace, miraculous apples that grant immortality, and so on. The word Avalon is originally found as a proper name in Welsh genealogy with regard to the mythical ancestor of the oldest dynasties of Britain. In Chinese mythology, the paradise of the immortals, Xian, it is located on three sacred mountains, Pimlai, Fengzhong, and Yingzhou, which swim in the sea ocean. It is mentioned that the immortal people, Xian, mount the clouds, riding the flying dragons. They have the garden of goddess, Si Wan Mo, in which peaches of immortality grow. On Tao, it is known that in legends, an immortal person, Xian, often has a guise of a white-bearded old man, and he is portrayed with attributes of immortality. And in the mythology of the Hellenes, that is, the ancient Greeks, this country was called Elysium, the Isles of the Blessed, Atlantis, Hellenes about Atlantis. Atlantis. That is how this highly developed highland state in the Atlantic Ocean was first called among the Hellenes. But the ancient Hellenic philosopher Plato, in his dialogues Timaeus and Critias, Plato was a descendant of the Athenian lawmaker of the 6th century BC, Archon, who was called the wisest of the 7 wise men of the country of Alada, the country known today as ancient Greece. According to Plato, the great mystery that the history of natural cataclysm repeats itself, and the present civilization is far from being the first, was told to Archon during his travels through Egypt by the Egyptian priest. By the way, according to the legend of the Hellenes, Solon's bloodline goes back directly to Poseidon, the god of the seas, who it is thought founded Atlantis and settled his children there. According to an ancient Greek legend, Atlantis was a large highland state, which was located to the west of the Pillars of Hercules, opposite the Atlantean Mountains. Other ancient sources report about the land of Titan Atlas. The Atlanteans waged wars and spread their power far beyond their state. Atlantean society was in the stage of decomposition. Selfishness, power, luxury, ambitiousness, corruption of morals. According to the legend, as a punishment, God sent down a severe earthquake and a flood upon them. The large island of Atlantis was destroyed during a sudden strong earthquake and rapid flooding. It was flooded in the water of the ocean in one day, in one disastrous night. According to Plato, the destruction of Atlantis occurred 9,200 years before the time of Archon. That is, 12,000 years back from present times. Today, there is quite a lot of scientific material on what oceanologists, geologists, and geotectonic experts, and specialists in other fields of science think on this issue. Many scientists had no doubt about the existence and submerging of a big area of land that had once been located in the Atlantic Ocean between Europe and America, which Plato had mentioned. However, many were astonished by the very fact that in this legend, the land submerged in just one day. However, the current rapid global climate change on Earth, which has been observed over the last 2 years, indicates that in the modern world, any day may become the last for the consumer civilization. As Igor Mikhailovich Danilov said, it is people themselves who, by their choice and exactly by their choice, whom to serve, the devil or God, are bringing closer or postponing this end of the world. A lot depends on people. Some people doubt the end of the world. But today, only a fool or someone who doesn't see what is happening behind a window may have doubts. Since ancient times, people who lived on different continents have preserved a common spiritual heritage, which contains an understanding of how immortal humans can attain life without death, how to acquire eternal life. It was based on primordial spiritual knowledge about the existence of the spiritual world, the eternal world of God, that God is one, about the temporality and mortality of the material world. There was an understanding of the power of God, and that it lies in God's love. There was also knowledge about the 7 messengers of the spiritual world, the executors of the will of one God. From time to time, they come to this world at the most important stages for humanity. That is, their immortal spirit temporarily incarnates in this world in a human body, and thus, being in equal living conditions with people, they fulfilled their mission until the destruction of the body's shell, meaning the death of the temporary body, while 6 of the 7 messengers from the eternal spiritual world come occasionally. And when necessary, one of them is constantly present on earth, at God's behest. He has many names, but his true name is Ahriman. In modern terms, he is like a programmer who wrote a program, which is what people at different times called the devil, Satan, Iblis, or simply intelligent system. The system, a part of which is consciousness, and thoughts coming to a person from the system. Thoughts exert influence and work according to patterns, like programs. Ahriman constantly monitors the work of his global intelligent system. He stays here, in the material world, for just one day, based on an ancient understanding that the entire material world, with its billions of years, exists for just one day. For many, a question arises: why are the devil and these demons needed in their heads? All these programs with thoughts and emotions that come, built on pridefulness, envy, hatred, and a multitude of earthly desires. However, according to the primordial knowledge, it is precisely that they create the conditions for human choice, whether to be mortal or to attain spiritual immortality. Thoughts seduce and generate earthly desires, stimulate vices A thirst for power, and dead attributes of the material world. With these programs, filters, the devil and demons are also all-seeing guards at the gates into true paradise. God's heaven. The spiritual world is a world where there is no matter. It's a world in which there is another form of existence, interpreted in human understanding as God's love. People called by different names the immaterial place where messengers from the spiritual world constantly reside. One of the names known today is the legendary Shambhala, headed by Rignan Japam. According to the primordial knowledge, Shambhala is located between the real eternal world of God and the temporarily existing material universe.